welcome back to the Mother-Daughter Disney Podcast. My name is Amanda. I'm here with my very lovely and beautiful mother.
Hi, I'm Jeanette.
Quite the pause there. As if there's anyone else.
I thought she was going to keep going.
Oh, no. I will say, I edit the pauses out of the podcast, so the listeners didn't hear the pause, but that was kind of funny, though, that you just didn't say anything.
Okay.
All right, today we're going to be answering Google's most asked questions about Disney World. I've been wanting to do this one for a while, although then I've quickly found out you can't just ask Google what are they most asked questions about something. You just have to kind of figure it out. So the way I did this was I kind of went into Google and put in like the typical, in English, of course, the like how to, like what is, like how much, which, can I, things like that. And I just looked up what was like the top ones that are, I kind of combined some of the more obvious ones together. And yeah, I thought today we'd just go through the top 16 questions. Some of them are kind of quick answers, I will say, and other ones are a bit more, it depends. You'll quickly find out a lot of these will be, it depends. But yeah, but I thought this would be, I don't know, kind of fun since we both have been to Disney so many times. My mom is really the planner too for Disney, so she can talk about planning for the trip. So yeah, so the first question, how to do Disney World on a budget. So how would you do Disney World on a budget?
I don't know. We haven't done that yet. Anyway, at least not, I don't think so.
My first thing was just you really have to plan ahead.
Well,
I would say.
I think in Disney, obviously your budget is right off the bat is your tickets.
Yes.
And your hotel. Okay. Once you've got your tickets and your hotel down and you know what you want to spend, then you can go from there. Tickets, you really don't have much choice. You can go, one day, one park, one day. Don't at the park hoppers. Don't do this. Don't do that. You can go to the basic tickets. Okay. The other thing is the hotels. I mean, there are so many choices for hotels. You can stay on Disney property all the way down to like, the what is it? The Pop Century and the value resorts. Or you can go to some of the resorts right outside of Disney, like right outside Disney Springs. There's like a street that goes straight down. That's all the hotels out there. And most of those hotels have shuttles that will take you back and forth to the park as buses. Like, not the Disney bus, but it will take you to the transportation center.
There's also, a lot of people usually, I not say usually, but a lot of people, if they're a big family, will get an Airbnb house.
Yes.
An Airbnb.
Well, those two things are your biggest expense right there. Are your biggest.
And I would say travel to Florida if you don't live near Florida.
If you don't live near, but there are people who can drive. If you're on the East Coast.
But I mean, in a general sense, that's a big, like if you're buying plane tickets can be very expensive to Florida.
Yes. So. Those things, though, you can control. You can control the plane tickets. You can control the hotel. You can control the tickets. Because before time, you can say, this is what we're spending on getting there, staying there, going in and out of the parks. After that, you kind of got to just watch what you're doing. Because it's very easy to say, we need a snack. Okay.
Well, I think it's also, that's actually even more in control because lots of people can bring food into the parks.
Yes.
So if you're on a budget, you can make your food, in your hotel room. You can buy snacks at CVS or the grocery store and then bring the food in with you. Lots of people do that. I see lots of people bring in their homemade food and just, eat in the parks that way. Because like my mom was saying too, it is very easy to quickly overspend on
That's what I mean. That's very easy to do.
And I think that's where it's going to get you. It's like if you're like, oh, I just want to buy a water bottle. A water bottle's like $5 in the parks. You can get a free cup of ice water if you really want. A lot of people don't always know that though. Right. Although you can also bring in your own water bottle too and bring in like your reusable bottle and fill up at the water fountains too. If that's what you want to do. But I think
that's why there's so many crowds at Disney World too. Like people say, where do people get this money? How does people go to Disney World? There are so many crowds at Disney World because like you said, there are ways to control what you spend.
Yeah.
There are ways to know what you're spending up front, what you have left to spend once you're there. Years ago, there was no such thing as delivery of food. I mean, people, get their delivery of food from their,
like if you're staying out, even no matter where you're staying, whether you're on Disney property or not, you can get like an Amazon food delivery and have food delivered to your hotel room.
Right.
Which again can help you save a lot. If you're just
you can't take it on the plane. So what you do is you get it delivered there, your snacks, your drinks, your whatever, and you just carry them with you. So there is a way to do it on a budget. I know a lot of families who have gone down and actually get like, the 1-bedroom rooms and suites and stuff.
And some people like that too, because sometimes when you're eating out for 5 days in a row, sometimes you just don't want to eat out anymore. Maybe you do just want to make yourself a little bit of eggs in the room or, just like have like a box mac and cheese in the room.
And even I feel that
relax,
when I'm on vacation.
Yeah, for sure. So it makes sense that, there's lots of ways to do Disney on a budget. So I would say the number one thing though is to just plan ahead, to really think ahead and to say, kind of try to plan your meals, plan your snacks out, like what you're going to buy, at home and bring with you. What will you splurge on once you're there? Like maybe you want to get like the Mickey bar or something like that.
Right, you want dessert or you want a fancy
to make sure. I would say looking for hotel room deals. So lots of times if you work with a travel agency, you're you have a better chance of getting a hotel room deal. Disney does have discounts. I would say to keep up with their social media and their websites because they will advertise when they're doing certain discounts.
But they're hard to get. So
they're usually very specific times you have to go, very specific rooms you have to book, very specific tickets. So I will say you're kind of limited to what Disney's offering you, but sometimes they can be worth it. But I would say too, if you work with some kind of travel agency, again, you don't pay the travel agency. We don't work with this podcast is not associated with any travel agency, so I have no one to recommend to you. But I just know, like in general, how they work. That you can definitely work with someone who can help you try to get
a travel
deals.
agent doesn't cost you any money. It's not like you have to pay them a fee to do your booking.
No, for sure. So I definitely say planning ahead and again, just kind of budgeting that out. Again, everyone can do it slightly differently of what you want to spend on, what you want to save on. And some people say like they want to just get the value resorts because they're really not spending any time in the room at all. Other people are saying like, we're actually going to be hanging out in the room a lot, so let's get one of the deluxe resorts.
Right.
So, just depends of what you want to spend and what you want to save on. So, all right, number 2, how to ride Disney World Rise of the Resistance. I thought this was kind of funny that this was such a popular asked question. I think it makes sense because
can't help with that one.
When Rise of the Resistance first opened, it was kind of not difficult to ride, but it was the first time the virtual queue was used was with Rise of the Resistance. However, Rise of the Resistance no longer uses the virtual queue. Right now, it's just the normal. You get in line and you get on the ride. So I would say to rope drop and get in the line and try to get on the ride as soon as you can. You can do pay per attraction, which is part of the Genie Plus system for like Lightning Lane. So for that, at 7 a.m. in the morning, you will basically open up the My Disney World Experience app, or when the park opens. If you're not staying on Disney property, you will have to do this when the park opens. So Hollywood Studios, depends on the day, but generally opens around 8:39. So 8:30 in the morning, make sure you have your My Disney World Experience phone out. You can kind of pre-select your party as well, and then you pay per attraction, whatever the price for that day would be. It does change every day these days, so you can just pay for that. For pay per attraction, you can kind of select the time frame you want to go on the ride, especially when you book it early in the morning. If you're waiting kind of later towards the day, some of the time frames may be all used up. So yeah, if you're booking though right in the morning, you can kind of pick the time you want to go back in. You can also ride Rise of the Resistance that way as well. But I would probably suggest just rope dropping and getting in line. And again, if you're staying on Disney property, you can have those early magic hours, like a half hour before, getting there early and getting on the ride. So that's my my advice there. Right, number 3, how many Disney World parks are there? There are 4 parks, 2 water parks, and Disney Springs. So in Disney World, we have Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Typhoon Lagoon, which is a water park, Blizzard Beach, which is a water park, and Disney Springs, which is kind of like food and beverage, so to speak, and shopping. So that is Disney World. All right, how much does Disney World cost? This also depends. Yeah, this really does depend. Again, kind of like how to do it on a budget. It really depends how much Disney World can cost.
That's a question you ask Google that Google can't possibly let you know. That's a personal, arbitrary thing that you spend and what you do.
Because it will also depend what time of year are you going? How many days are you staying?
How many days, what time of year, how many beds you need, what the airlines are doing, what if you're going, you're driving, whether you're flying. A Disney World vacation could cost up to thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
If
I would say it is probably more expensive. If you've never been to Disney World, I'd say it's probably more expensive than you think it is. Because I think everyone who goes for the first time who has never been there before always say they were shocked at how much money they spent. And I would say it is very expensive. It's one of those things now where I was at a wedding last weekend and I was talking to this girl and she had gone to Disney World for the first time with her partner and his family. And she said that she spent like $1,200 like just her tickets alone. And in my head, I was just like, oh, that's what I've spent for years on my ticket to Disney. Like, I think it's one of those things, if you were like an avid Disney goer like we are, you kind of get used to the cost to a certain extent. Yes, it is very expensive and you realize the expense, but if you're spending it over and over again, you're like, oh, this is how much it costs. Like you have to accept that.
You have to accept what it's going to cost.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive.
And let me tell you something, going on vacation anyplace else is not cheap either.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, no matter where you go, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Like we were laughing because, we would go to Disney and, like you said, what's a bottle of water? $5 or whatever. When you went to Six Flags.
Yeah, it's also $5.
$5 for a bottle of water. The difference is that when we go to Six Flags, you go for the day.
Yeah,
so you spend it for one day and you go home. You go to Disney, you're there for 4, 5, 6 days.
Also, we're not like eating in Six Flags. We probably leave and go to a restaurant outside of Six Flags.
Here, we choose to stay in the park and eat.
Yes.
You can't eat outside, like you said, or bring your own or whatever. But that's an arbitrary, asking how much it costs is impossible to even fathom because it depends upon so many factors. And believe me, the room alone at a certain season to sleep 4 people, or some people need 5 beds, 5 sleeping places. When I checked it one time, the room alone for 7 days was $10,000.
Yeah.
Okay. It's $10,000 just for the room. And we said, nope, not going. We'll just stick to our little week at the Marriott, and that would be it.
Thank you.
We're not staying on Disney property until until later on in years when we could afford to join
That's what I'm saying.
DVC.
So,
we stayed at our little Marriott and did not go to a Disney hotel.
So that's what I'm saying. It can be very, very expensive.
could be.
You can also, again, do it on a budget and try to save as much as you can.
Just
There's
have to
lots of
plan.
different ways.
Right.
So I will say right now for one day in the park. So again, when you book like multiple days on your park ticket, like if you're going for 7 days, you will save a little bit for each day. But if you're just going in for one day, right now we're currently ranges from $134 to $179, $244 for a park hopper, meaning that you can go to multiple parks in one day, and $264 for a park hopper and the water parks, meaning you can go to the multiple parks in one day and the water parks as well in one day.
Nobody does.
I feel like, I don't know if that's worth it because I don't know who's going to 2 parks in one day plus a water park. That's a lot to do in one day. That's just a bit too busy.
That's about too much, too expensive to go do that.
Well, not just too expensive.
They have to give you the
so much
option
to do in one day.
I can't. I'd love to know how many of those tickets they're selling.
Yeah, I wonder like that. Yeah, I guess it's one of those things where like if you at that point if you're going to go to a water park one day, just pay extra to just go to a water park that day. Right. I don't know, but that's my personal opinion, not the official Disney. I don't know advice, I guess, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. It can be quite expensive. So I also say too that the park prices will also be different every day. So for instance, Magic Kingdom is the most expensive to go to, and Animal Kingdom generally is the least expensive to go to. On July 4th, I pulled the prices for just going July 4th. July 4th is notoriously one of the busiest days in all of the parks in Magic Kingdom. They typically close in the afternoon for capacity, and that is because their firework display for July 4th is one of the best you will see in your entire life, but you do pay to be there. So in Magic Kingdom this year, to just go on July 4th for one day, it will be $184. Epcot will be $174. Hollywood Studios is $179, and Animal Kingdom is $154. And for a park hopper on July 4th, it will be $248. So if you just want to go on July 4th, that is the price. I always find it interesting that the order almost always goes Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, Animal Kingdom in order of like the prices. That it will be the same for Genie Plus too. That will be our next question. Yeah, but Genie Plus is the same way that Magic Kingdom is always the most expensive, Hollywood Studios is always the second, and then Epcot, then Animal Kingdom. And usually Animal Kingdom is kind of drastically lower than the others. Like for instance, 184 to 154, Animal Kingdom is much lower, given Animal Kingdom doesn't have as long of hours as Magic Kingdom does.
It closes earlier.
Yeah, so if you go for like a full day in Animal Kingdom, there's like 3 to 4 hours at the end of the day that you're not getting that you will get in Magic Kingdom. So I'm not sure if maybe it's priced because of that. I'm not really sure how that works. If
they don't have a fireworks display. They don't have, They
don't have the parades, things like that. Right. They don't have like the big shows or anything. So yeah, so just keep that in mind that if you're kind of looking at the parks, although that's not to say Animal Kingdom is not worth going to. I love Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom is such a great park.
Definitely.
If anything, that's a bargain to get into Animal Kingdom for a little bit less.
Right, but that's why they're charging less because it's missing all that.
And I wonder if back in the day, I'd have to look at like the history of the cost of the parks. If Hollywood Studios is more expensive now because of Galaxy's Edge and the draw to go to Galaxy's Edge and the thrill rides, because they have Rock and Roller Coaster, they have Tower and Terror. So they have kind of those thrill rides and Slinky Dog Dash. We all know people love Slinky Dog Dash. So yes, I wonder if over the years it has become the number 2 ride or the number 2 park because of that. And then I'm not that Epcot is that much less. It's $4 less. It's not like you're getting a big bargain to go to Epcot or anything like that. But I just think it's interesting how it gets priced that way. So but that is just a general sense of just the one-day tickets to get into the parks if you just wanted to go in for the day. And again, if you live locally, Disney or Florida residents do get special discounts if you live in Florida. So keep that in mind. If you have some kind of house in Florida, I know people have tried to get away with having their 2 houses in Florida and then one at home and just saying their Florida is permanent or something like that. Lots of ways to try to get the different discounts. So so just keep things like that in mind, and try to find the cost savings where you can, because it's just going to be expensive. And I would just say if you've never gone before, you don't really go frequently, just picture in your mind it's going to be more than you think it's going to be. If it ends up being a little bit less, that's exciting, but just know it's going to be expensive. All right, question number 5. We're only on question 5, but it's okay. Some of these are going to be quick, but this one is not going to be quick. This one is, how does Disney World Genie Plus work?
Okay. I can't help with that either.
So I wrote down some notes here because I do know Genie Plus I do think is confusing, and it's honestly kind of always changing.
They are changing it again.
Not yet. It's been announced that Disney wants to make it easier to use Genie Plus, because I do think it's kind of complicated to use, especially if you've never used it before. Like even when it first launched, it was complicated to use. Like I learned kind of as I went. But all right, so as of recording this, you will purchase Genie Plus the day of on the Disney World, like the My Disney World Experience app. You do have to have the app downloaded. You will need to have an account. You will have to make sure all of your tickets for the parks are on your account, meaning your whole family is on your account as well. If you can, having your whole party on your account will make this much easier. This is where I think Genie Plus, the downside is, let's say we're going together and let's say my aunt and uncle and their 3 kids are also going with them. We're going to be on separate apps at that point, but let's say we're going to do Genie Plus. Now we need to try to coordinate which times we're going to get our Genie Pluses together. That is very difficult to do when you have people across apps like that. So I will say if you can, to try to get your whole party on one app in one like unit, because it will make it a lot easier. You can pre-select your party in the app as well. So like when you log on, you can say like, these are the people I'm going to do it with, which is nice because, for instance, if I was doing Genie Plus, let's say, and I wanted my first ride to be Tower of Terror, we're going to buy it for the day, but my mom is not going to go in Tower of Terror, so she's not going to tap into that ride. So I can just pick me and my dad if I wanted to. So that does make it kind of convenient. Or for instance, let's say we're going into the parks, but let's say my mom isn't going to be using Genie Plus at all. It's just going to be me and my dad. So I can just not even pay for my mom and she can still get into the park and just me and my dad have Genie Plus. So you can do that as well too. If you're staying on property, it will be at 7 a.m. when you will decide your first ride and technically like purchase the Genie Plus. Actually, no, I think you can purchase the Genie Plus earlier than 7 a.m., but you will make your first selection at 7 a.m. So you will then at 7 a.m. it will come up. You probably should decide which ride you want to try to pick first and prioritize. So I will definitely suggest that. So you will kind of scan the park on like the My Tips board. You'll kind of navigate to the park. You'll go on like the My Tips thing, scan, look for the ride. If you can't find it, just search for the ride in the search bar and you can do it that way too. And then once it's 7 a.m., you can just hit, join, you want to join the Genie Plus, and it'll give you the time frame to come back at. If you're doing this right in the morning, you likely will get one of the earlier time frames. So like when the park opens. So if you're not going to go into Disney World when the park opens, do not do this at 7 a.m. because you're going to get too early of a time frame and you're not even going to use the time. So that's why I think it's a bit confusing in that sense because, well, okay, so let's say you're going at 7 a.m., you pick your first ride. Either 2 hours after the park has opened or after you scanned in for that first ride, you can make your next selection. So for instance, if we walked in and I had my Genie Plus for 8:30 a.m., we walked onto Tower at 8:30, we scanned our bands. Right after me, my dad scanned my bands, I will then go back on the app and pick what our next ride is going to be. However, let's say I got a Genie Plus for maybe 12 p.m. And so the park opened at 9 a.m. So now at 11 a.m., I can make my second selection if I want to, even though I haven't used my first 12 p.m. selection. So I can make my next selection for maybe 4 p.m. or something like that. So then I have 2 Genie Pluses then lined up for later in the day, even though I haven't even used either of them yet. So you can also do it that way too. I will say I find that to be a bit more complicated because you're really relying on the times to be available for then. Because for instance, once like a time slot is filled, so let's say the 8 to 10 time slots for Tower of Terror are filled up. Now you have to, wait for the next time slots or something like that. Once those fill up, you can't go back to them. So like if you're trying to pick a time that you want to go on the ride, it's very tricky to try to pick the exact time that you want to be on the ride. So you're kind of at the will of everyone else that day picking the times that they also want to go on these rides as well. So that's where I feel like it gets complicated because you have to be attached to your phone to figure out what time you're going to go on that ride. So for instance, when we used Genie Plus in Animal Kingdom, I got up 7 a.m. and I picked Kilimanjaro Safari for our first ride. So we went on Kilimanjaro Safari. I also did pay per attraction. I will get to pay per attraction in just 1 second and kind of go in depth on the map. But our pay per attraction for Flight of Passage was at like 1 p.m. So I really wanted to go on Na'vi River Journey when we were in Pandora around the 1 p.m. time so that it was like we could do both at the same time and not have to walk all the way into Pandora and then walk all the way back out and, kind of go back and forth across the park. So I really wanted to be at that time. Well, after we got out of Kilimanjaro Safari, the Na'vi River Journey ride was only at, I think, like 10 a.m. or something like that. I'm like, well, I don't want to go on Na'vi River Journey at 10 a.m. So let's do something else right now. And I will just have to literally keep an eye on the app and wait until Na'vi River Journey gets closer to 1 p.m. in the day as it fills up so we can get the time that we want to do. And that is exactly what I did. We used Genie Plus for a few other rides. I kept an eye on it. And I think after I did Expedition Everest, it was like 1:30 and I was like, oh, perfect. And that's when I signed us up for Na'vi River Journey so it can line up with our other ride for Flight of Passage. But that is what's annoying about Genie Plus because one person in your family has to be on their phone the whole day booking these rides for everyone else. So for everyone else, it's kind of fun because you just get to kind of bounce around from ride to ride and you're just told, all right, we're going to go here next. We're going to go there next. But that person on the phone is being like, all right, what time are we doing? Where are we going to go next? We have to strategize for the day, but they can't really tell anyone else what they're doing because it's complicated. It's complicated to look at the rides and look to see what times are available and to figure out what you should do next. Are we going to walk from Tomorrowland all the way to Frontierland, then all the way back to Tomorrowland? Like, what are we going to do here? Just timing wise. They're thinking about your dining reservations. Like, all right, well, we have a dinner reservation at 6, so we can't do it too early and we can't do it too late. And then the fireworks are at this time.
Which I have to say is why people are complaining about Disney too much planning, because years ago it was, let's just go to the park.
It wasn't this much planning.
Do whatever. So now, like I said, Amanda does all that.
Yes.
Genie Plus, they're doing all that stuff. I do all the other stuff. The only person who really gets to enjoy this is Dad, because he just has to follow
really does just roll up
and just do whatever he wants.
Yep, he just rolls up next to me. I tell him we're going on Tower of Terror. He's like, all right, sounds good. We go on Tower of Terror.
We're going here for dinner? Okay.
So that's the thing. It is, and it's a lot of planning. So for instance, some rides will fill up faster than others. So Slinky Dog Dash is a really popular ride for Genie Plus. At 7 a.m., Slinky Dog Dash could then at 8 o'clock be at 5 p.m. for that ride. So then let's say you don't buy your Genie Plus maybe until 9 o'clock because you decide like, oh, we made a mistake. We need to get Genie Plus.
Nope,
but now you're not getting on Slinky Dog Dash because it's all
Dash.
filled up. But that also means that the people early in the morning cannot use their Genie Plus. Oh, no, they can wait the 2 hours. That's why you have the whole 2 hours rule. But that's the thing though, that it's like you're kind of then waiting to see like what are you going to go on if you're waiting like for your Slinky Dog Dash time or whatever. So yeah, so it is quite complicated in that sense. I would say like when people are saying one of the benefits of it is that in the old Fast Pass system, your Fast Passes couldn't overlap with each other, where in Genie Plus they can overlap with each other. I do not see that as a benefit because that never happens. No. I feel like that's never happened for me.
Fast Pass actually could overlap with each other if you went
like
in
a
and
5
got
minute,
it.
yeah.
If you went in and modified it, they would let you make it closer.
Yeah.
They used to have a big gap between them when you first did it. But if you went in and modified one of them, it would let you do it one right after the other. You just had a new hat. It's like anything else.
Yeah,
once you got used to using the system, you knew exactly what to do.
So yeah, so again, just keep in mind that for Genie Plus, some rides will fill up earlier than others. So if that is a priority ride for you, like Slinky Dog Dash is a big one, Peter Pan's Flight is a big one, Jungle Cruise is a big one. Make sure you pick that ride first if that's like your whole family really wants to go on that ride. And that's kind of how I picture Genie Plus, is that if we're going to use Genie Plus, we are picking maybe 1 or 2 rides that are our top priority rides we want to use Genie Plus for. And if we get on those 1 or 2 rides, then for us, we're like, all right, fine, the money is worth it. You know, anything else we get on with it, it's just a bonus on top. And that's kind of how we see it. And I feel like that's the best way to look at it. If you're looking at Genie Plus saying, I'm going to use this for every single ride in the park, you're going to be extremely disappointed because it's not going to
And
work
I have
that
to
way.
say that I was one of those people that said, I'm not doing Genie Plus, I'm not doing Genie Plus, I'm not doing Genie Plus, and Disney won.
Yeah.
My attitude about this is we go back to the discussion about how much it costs to go to Disney World. If you want to enjoy Disney World, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
And if you want to pay the money, pay the money. If you don't want to pay the money, don't complain, because that's what it costs to go to Disney World.
Yeah. All right. So the pay per attractions are separate from Genie Plus. So Genie Plus is one thing, and then you have pay per attractions. They both use the lightning lane, is what they call it. So they're both
Very
lightning
confusing
lane.
for those of us who are not doing the
Yes,
planning.
but pay per attraction is separate. You cannot get on 4 rides on Genie Plus. So usually they're like the biggest rides. So right now, as I'm recording, it may change in the future. In Magic Kingdom, it's Tron. In Epcot, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind. In Animal Kingdom, it's Flight of Passage. And in Hollywood Studios, it is Rise of the Resistance. So for these 4 rides, you will pay an additional separate fee from Genie Plus to get on these rides. That also means that you don't have to get Genie Plus if you just want to go on Tron or if you just want to go on Flight of Passage. You can just pay that one fee and just go on that one ride to get on that ride. So for Goes, same thing, 7 a.m. You'll sign up for it. You can pick your party for it. And again, I think I mentioned this before, but the one benefit of pay per attractions is that you do have the ability to pick what time you want to go. So you can kind of pick the window that you kind of want to go back in. I will say to kind of try to pick quickly because they can fill up if you're waiting too long or if you're dilly-dallying and you're not really sure if your family can't decide at 7 a.m. So try to have that pre-planned the day before, the morning of, to say like, all right, we're going to do Flight of Passage at 10 a.m. Is everyone happy with that? And then it's like, all right, then you will just go on and pick the time and everything will be set. Once you pick your pay per attraction time frame, you cannot change it. So for Genie Plus, you can like get out of the line, so to speak, for Genie Plus if you don't want to do it anymore. But for the pay per attraction, you cannot do that. So once you pay and you pick your time, that is it. It is set. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't change it. You can't ask for a refund. There is nothing else. No going back. So I think the only difference is that if the ride breaks down, so let's say Flight of Passage broke down for like the whole day or something like that, I think that's the only time you can then try to exchange your pass to use something else in, or maybe Disney gives a refund. Honestly, I have never heard of someone getting a refund. Usually they say like you have to wait for the ride to reopen, or they give you a pass to use like another ride instead. But yeah, but just keep an eye on that in case you're trying to get on Tron or one of the other rides. Let's be real, they don't close. Rise of the Resistance is the one you got to worry about. That's right. The one that's breaking down every 2 seconds. So yeah, but it is definitely confusing. It is definitely a lot of, I will say it is a lot of work to do it. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of planning, but just try to be patient with yourself as you're doing it, or be patient with your family member who is actually doing the work on the app to try to get it done. If they make a mistake, it's confusing. You're on the whims of like your cellular data, your Wi-Fi, how fast is it gonna load or something like that. A misclick, anything like that, you didn't read the right prompt or something. So, and again, it does update every few months. So every few months it has been changing. That's making it harder and harder, because once you think you know what you're doing, it's changed a little bit. It usually does change to make it easier. So I will say the changes have all been improvements over the years.
Well, that's what the new one's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that you can book 2 or 3 of them at a time, so that you don't have to be on your phone all day.
So that's what the rumor is. Disney has not actually said that. That's just what rumored is to believe to happen. But Disney has just said they're working on ways to make Genie Plus easier to use, which I do look forward to. So, all right, our next question is kind of in line with this. How does Disney World virtual queue work? So the virtual queue, not every ride is on virtual queue. So when you go, you just just have to check to see which rides are on virtual queue and which ones are not. A lot of the rides that start off on virtual queue are no longer on it, so that's kind of fun. Right now, the only 2 rides as of recording is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and Tron. They're the only 2 rides that are currently using the virtual queue. Everything else, like Rise of the Resistance, used to be on it. Ratatouille's Adventures used to be on it, no longer are, which is kind of nice. I think at a certain point, you don't really need the virtual queue anymore. I think, just go up and wait online, so that does make it a little bit easier. But the way the virtual queue currently works, it is way easier than it was way back when, but you will pre-select your party for who is going on the virtual queue. So you will have to have park tickets, of course, and have everyone on your app. And so once you pre-select your party at 7 a.m., if you're staying on Disney property, you will be able to hit the join queue ride for that ride, and then you will just join the queue basically. Right now, they have 2 times of the day that they do the queues. So they have it right early in the morning, and then they have another wave at 1 p.m. So if you didn't get the early morning one, you can try to get the 1 p.m. join queue option. So I definitely keep that in mind. You cannot join the queue twice. So for instance, if you got it in the morning, you can't join it a second time at 1 p.m. You can only join it once throughout the day. But if you missed the first time, try again at 1 p.m. But just note you may have to wait until like the park closes basically to get on that virtual queue. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, it is way easier than it used to be. It used to be very complicated to do the virtual queue, so they have made it easier. And I do think at this point, at least for Guardians of the Galaxy, I wonder when they're going to take it away, because I think at this point it's been open long enough. They probably don't need it anymore.
I think that's going to be soon.
But we'll see, I suppose, because with the virtual queue, you do still wait on the line even with the virtual queue. So it's not like you're skipping a line or anything like that. It doesn't cost
to be on the...
No, the virtual queue is free, so you don't pay for it, but you are going to wait online. So usually the line is still going to be about 30 to 40 minutes once you get on the actual line itself. Again, you just waited, again, in quotes, on the virtual queue for a little bit longer to get on the ride. But I did virtual queue for Tron. I waited a literal hour, 15 minutes to get onto Tron with the virtual queue. So yeah, it's not that you're skipping a line or anything with the virtual queue. You're just, you're just signing up to basically get on the ride for the day. And just know if a ride is using the virtual queue, you cannot get on the ride by a normal standby line. So if you're not on the virtual queue, you are not getting on that ride unless you do the pay per attraction option, which again is always an option. All right, question 7, how to get Disney World discounts.
Well, discounts. I mean, what discounts you're talking? You're talking hotels? You're talking
I don't know. That was just the question, was how to get Disney World discounts.
The only discounts you can really get is on merchandise, and that's annual pass holders or DVC members
so
get discounts. Other than
cast
that,
members get discounts.
There are not many discounts, Disney.
Yeah, cast members get discounts.
Yeah.
I think another discount that you can get, I have heard this, we have not done this before, but apparently you can get discounts on gift cards at Costco.
Oh, not Costco, Sam's Club.
No, it's Costco.
It's Costco?
Online. Yeah, I think you can do it at both.
Okay,
yeah, Costco's one too. Yeah.
Club.
No, yeah, so you can get a 30% discount on gift cards at Costco. So if you go there, I guess Sam's Club as well, you can buy a Disney gift card and get the gift card on a discount there, and then use that gift card in Disney World. So you can do that. I've heard people doing that. I've also heard people too, like, so if you have, I don't think you can do this anymore, or I think they took it away for a while, then people were heavily complaining and now they brought it back. You can get if you have a Target Red card, you can get a 5% discount when you buy a gift card as well. And same thing, you get a 5% discount. Okay. I actually have a Target Red card and I've never tried this before, although I think Target took it away. So
I'm not so sure that the discounts on the gift cards for Disney are all the time either. I think it's not like you can go there every day and just buy a Disney gift card and get a discount.
Yeah, I think it depends, but I'm not sure. because we've never done this before, but I've heard people saying that you can do this. I think the Target one,
then
Target
you have to walk
took
around
away.
with like 50 gift cards. You have to be like packing. You can't just buy one gift card for like $2,000. They only allow you a certain amount of money. That's what people do.
That you buy a couple $500 gift cards.
Yeah, I saw people they fan out their gift cards and say, I forgot about that.
So some people do that too. I'd say that's a good budgeting tip too. That if you just want to like just for not even with a discount,
then you're also
just
know how much money you're spending.
Yeah, so then you're really limited to like what you like. You're only going to spend $500 on food that week or a couple days.
On the gift card.
That's all you're going to spend. So that's a good way to control what you spend. But for discounts, I kind of same as before. Kind of work with a travel agency. We're not associated with any travel agencies, but they will definitely help you get those discounts, those hotel discounts, park discounts, any deals that's going on. They are the ones that really keep an eye out for it.
And get the
you
packages.
can do it yourself, but it's just a lot of work to do it yourself and to make sure you're going with the right stipulations. So just a little bit more work to get those discounts. If you go on Shop Disney has lots of sales and free shipping and things like that too. Not all the merchandise you buy in the parks is going to be on Shop Disney. There are going to be merchandise that's exclusive to the parks, but there are a lot of things you can buy on Shop Disney. So for instance, if you want to get like mini ears and you're not an annual pass holder or DVC discount member, you can like get a sale on Shop Disney and buy mini ears on there if you want the official ears, and then just wear those ears to the park and you got them on a discount in that sense. So definitely keep an eye on Shop Disney if you want the Disney official merchandise. Of course, there's lots of people on Etsy and other places that sell, merchandise as well too that aren't as expensive as number 8. All right, this one's for you. When can I make Disney World dining reservations?
Oh, 60 days before.
Yes.
It's at 6:30 in the morning. You have to be at that computer 60 days before to try to get those dining reservations. I've come to the conclusion that if I don't get my dining reservations, I just don't get them. And then you just go in afterwards, and people do cancel because what happens is everybody makes their plans. Because as Amanda was saying, her planning, I do planning like crazy to make sure what day we're going to the park, because we only buy 1 day per park tickets.
Yes.
What day we're going to the park, what we have to do, where we're going to eat, how we're going to get there, what we're going to do for breakfast. So 60 days before, you need to start really thinking about it. If you don't get your dining reservation, make a different dining reservation and then keep checking. And
I believe if you're not staying on Disney property, you have to do that every day, right?
Yes, you don't. If you're staying on Disney property, you can do it for the length of your vacation. If you're staying 7 or 10 days, it'll tell you for all those days you can make your reservations. If you're not staying on Disney property, like the last time when we were staying at Marriott, I had to go in every day at 7 o'clock for 60 days before and do that. Yes.
Yeah. So just keep in mind 60 days in advance.
60 days in advance to do your reservations. And like I said, some of them you never get. That's why we ended up talking about our experience at Le Cellier, because we were supposed to eat at 4:20 because that's the only reservation I could get. I really wanted 6 o'clock, which is what we ended up eating anyway. But,
yes, if you listen to our recap of our December trip, we talk about that whole situation in that episode.
But the idea here is I could only get 4:20, and I checked that every other day for 2 months, and nothing ever opened up, ever. So some restaurants disappear and you don't get them. Some restaurants, they get cancellations, it'll open back up. So you just have to, you have to go with the idea that I'm going to try my best.
And sometimes you can do like the walk-in wait list or something like that.
Yes,
so
it depends upon the season. I've seen where people have walked up and they've said no walk-up seating, so you're stuck. So that's happened. Like I said, I do mine 60 days out, knowing where we want to eat, kind of, and what we want to eat. But if I don't get that, we'll go someplace else.
Backup plan, go eat
somewhere
somewhere
there's
else.
So many other places to pick that there are places you can go, and then just keep check. That's all.
For sure. All right, number 9. When is Disney World the least crowded and the most crowded?
There is no slow season anymore. My friend and I, she now lives in Florida near Disney, but she was even more of a Disney fanatic than we were when I first met them. And we talked about that just recently. There is no more slow season in Disney. It used to be that you could go in September and there would be nobody there, especially around the beginning of school. You could go the first week in December, nobody there because Christmas has come in, Thanksgiving's just passed, people are not going to Disney World. Well, let me tell you something. Then it was January, because January is kind of a winter month. And well, there is no slow time in Disney anymore. Just get the idea that when you go there, it's going to be packed.
It's going to be crowded. I will say there's more crowded seasons and lesser crowded seasons, but it's almost always going to be crowded. So for instance, Christmas week and New Year's, one of the more crowded seasons, you're going to be waiting an hour for living with the land.
Easter
week, 4th of July week. Generally, the summer is going to be a little bit busier
summer because
too,
kids are out of school.
General,
so there are certain air times they're very, very crowded. But I have not been there yet where we've actually said, wow, it's slow season.
Yeah. So I would say overall, those are the more crowded times. The least crowded times, like sometimes May can be a little bit less crowded. Like my mom was saying, like early September can be a little bit less crowded. Right. Like, January and February, a little bit less crowded. But just in general, just expect it to be crowded.
Yes. It's a busy place.
Yes. All right, number 10. When is Disney World decorated for Christmas/Halloween? Halloween will start in the beginning of August. I think last year they actually were decorated on July 31st.
Yeah, because they started the Halloween party early.
Yes, so beginning of August until basically, very beginning of November. And then Christmas will be beginning of November to like first week of January.
Right.
Number 11. Which Disney World park is the best? So this is obviously an opinion based.
That's an individual choice.
Yeah. I will say my favorite park is Epcot. So
my favorite park is Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. I don't necessarily think if it's the best or not, but it's my favorite park. So number 12, which Disney World park has the most rides? So as of right now, Magic Kingdom has 24 rides. Epcot has 11 rides. Disney Hollywood Studios has 9 rides, and Disney Animal Kingdom has 8 rides. That does not include shows, parades, fireworks shows, things like that, restaurants, other things you can do, like a walk-through attractions. That is just the rides in itself. So Magic Kingdom does have the most, and then Animal Kingdom currently has the least. Number 13, which Disney World park has Star Wars? Hollywood Studios. Please keep in mind, Disney World does not have Harry Potter World. The amount of people who go to Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios and ask where is Harry Potter World, and it's in Universal. It is not in any Disney park. So just keep that in mind. Star Wars is in Hollywood Studios and Disney World, and Harry Potter World is in Universal. And Universal is half hour away from Disney, I guess, driving wise.
About a half
hour, 20 minutes to a half hour. So yeah, different park, different price points. Going to be somewhere else completely different. Number 14, which Disney World park is best for adults? I would say it depends on what you want to do. Generally, most people say Epcot because Epcot has the most like bars and like places to drink. I would say like drinking around the world is a big thing.
A lot of people go for drinking around the world, but as an adult who doesn't drink around the world, I would say that I'd say Epcot is probably holds the most because of the countries, because you can go on rides, but at the same time you can go into the World Showcase and kind of just get a taste for everything. There are restaurants, like you said, there are lounges, there are restaurants, there are places to sit, there are places to have snacks.
I would say Epcot or Hollywood Studios, because Hollywood Studios also does have a lot of like bars and lounges as well, and they also have a lot of thrill rides, I would say there too. That's a bit more for like the older kids type of thing. So I know a lot of people really love that, especially for instance the whole, and I won't say controversy, but the whole thing when Hollywood Studios for the first time ever had an after hours parties for the Christmas season called Jollywood Nights. A lot of families said they felt like it wasn't really for kids at all. It did seem lean more towards the adults. They had like these lounges, these fun shows, they did live music and everything. And other than the short lines for the rides, there wasn't really much else for like kids, so to speak. Like there's no dance parties or anything like that they tend to do, like the Frozen dance parties in Magic Kingdom. So yes, I would say either Epcot or Hollywood Studios would be my pick. But if I'm being honest, I think all the parks can be for adults. I would say if you're an adult and you're going on your own without kids, you can go to all 4 parks and still have a blast, still have an amazing time.
I think mentally, Magic Kingdom is your last choice when you're an adult. If my husband and I when we went that time by ourselves, we went to Animal Kingdom and Epcot. Only because I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I was going.
Although my dad is, so he must live in depravity.
Right. When he's with Amanda, then they go to Star Wars. But with me, it was Animal Kingdom and Epcot. Magic Kingdom seems to be the less for 2 reasons. One is if you're an adult looking for, like more of a relaxing kind of vacation, Magic Kingdom tends to have more kids. Magic Kingdom tends to have more kids running, doing, happening, more kids online, more babies, more things going on.
More strollers.
Yes, more strollers, more things like that. Mentally, you kind of see more of that. So I think as an adult, if it was just me and my husband going, Epcot and Animal Kingdom have always been our draw.
Our last 2 questions should be quick. I know we've been talking for a long time through these questions. So number 15, can I buy Disney World tickets at the gate? Yes, you can still. Most people I think don't anymore. I think most people do get them online now or on your phone, but you technically can still buy them at the gate. They do still have the people. And the last question that I had find, can I use Disney World Magic Band at Disneyland? So you can only use Magic Band Plus at Disney World, Disneyland, and the Disney cruises. The technology in the original Magic Bands do not work across all 3 locations, so you do have to pay for a Magic Band Plus. Those are the ones that have like the lights in them and they light up and they like vibrate a little bit on your wrist. I know a lot of people really like them actually. People say it's fun when you're watching the shows and it's like lighting up with the shows and stuff like that, or like if you're interacting with things, it will interact with other things as well. But you can put your tickets for Disneyland and Disney World and your Disney cruise all on the same Magic Band Plus if you would like to, and it can be used across all locations. That's actually fairly new though, so it's okay. I didn't know that either actually, is that's new as of 2022. So it's only 2 years old that you can do that when Magic Band Plus was introduced, because originally Disneyland couldn't use the Magic Bands because of the Wi-Fi system they had there, because it's so congested as an area in Anaheim,
it's an area,
that they weren't able to use like the cellular, like the Wi-Fi for it to work properly. But then again, new technology, the Magic Band Plus, they now can do it there. So that is what you can do. So that is the top 16 questions that are currently on Google that people are asking. A lot of them obviously about cost and discount, which are, again, there's no perfect answer for those things.
No, a lot of them, it's like anything else when people ask questions, like what's your favorite, like even around here in my neighborhood, like what's your favorite restaurant? Well, that's a personal thing. You can't really answer to somebody what the good things to do or how to do this or how to do that. It's sort of, here's a guideline. And you can kind of get in between and figure out.
And as my mom and I always say on this podcast, everyone does Disney differently. So everyone likes different things. They want to do Disney differently. Everyone's at a different price point, a different family dynamic. So everyone's going to have a different opinion on what they want to do, where is the best place to eat, which park is the best place to visit. And that's why we have this podcast, because we love just to talk about what we like, but you may be like, no, like I would say Magic Kingdom is the best park for adults, for A, B, and C. And so I think that's great though. That's what I love to hear. I love to hear everyone's different thoughts and opinions. And this is just us answering the questions. So and you can can Google these yourselves and see what else
Personal
Google,
opinion.
what Google says and how Google answers these questions. This is just how I'm answering them. So, all right, we'll transition to a little bit of Disney news now. This is a pre-recorded episode. Some of this news is not very new news, but the big thing is that Valentine's Day merchandise is arriving in all of the parks, which is very exciting. I think it is a bit something that I'm always disappointed at in Disney World is that Disney World does not go all out for the Lunar New Year the way that Disneyland does. Disneyland will have a whole parade.
I know.
You'll have a whole parade, a whole festival, all these booths with like food and everything to celebrate the Lunar New Year.
I'd plan to go at that time if we could.
Yeah, and Disney World just does not do that. Like, yes, the China Pavilion, the Japan Pavilion will do something, special for the Lunar New Year, but it is not that. It's like not a big deal. It's just like as if it's just a passing day, so to speak. So I always get a bit sad that Disney World does not make it a bigger deal. They will have the merchandise in the parks, but again, it is not as big of a deal as the way it is in Disneyland. And that just goes to show the Valentine's Day merchandise is showing up Disney World before the Lunar New Year merchandise. Right. And Lunar New Year is before the Valentine's Day. It's on February 10th this year. So, but very exciting to see the Valentine's Day merch. Valentine's Day merchandise is some of my favorite merchandise for holidays just because I think it's so cute and fun. I love like the light shades of pink and stuff. It's just so fun. All right, Basin, the soap store in the Grand Floridian has unexpectedly closed. It looks like it's just closed for refurbishment, but that's
what they said. They said they were closing because of the renovations.
Yes, but there was no official announcement on its closure and when it's going to reopen. So people were just surprised that one day it closed and people were like, what's going on? And then Disney said like, oh, we're just refurbishing it. And I'm like, well, there was no official announcement, which again, for Disney nuts like us, we're like, what's going on with Basin? What's happening to the soap store? Why isn't it closed? So for the everyday person, they're like, oh, it's just closed, whatever. And last but not least, there is a new Ariel cone in Disney Springs. It is based off the cartoon Ariel. So there's a new Ariel cone there that has, I forget the exact flavors, but it's kind of like blue and green. It looks very
that's
cute.
right. I did see that. It's cute.
Yeah, so lots of people are talking about the new Ariel Dole Whip cone in Disney Springs. All right, so now for some Disney birthdays. Happy birthday on January 22nd to Riley from Inside Out. So happy birthday, Riley. They could tell us apparently because her passcode was like 0122, which everyone assumed was her birthday. But yeah, so happy birthday, Riley. I'm very excited for Inside Out 2 to be coming out. So I'm looking forward to Inside Out 2. I really love the first movie, so I'm sure I will love the second movie. And for another birthday, it is my mom's brother actually on January 26th. So happy birthday to my Uncle Jimmy as well. He's also a big Disney person. They go to Disney a lot.
Yes, they do. Them and their family love it. So happy
he's a
birthday.
Big Mickey Mouse fan. So happy birthday to my Uncle Jimmy. So yeah, that is our two Capricorns. Actually, no, now we're into Aquarius season. Look at us. We're out of Capricorn season. There are our two Aquariuses. I didn't realize he was an Aquarius. Look at that. All right, and that transitions to our final segment of the podcast, our Disney memory. Do you have a Disney memory for today's podcast?
Disney memory. It has to be just a general one because obviously Google doesn't have a memory. I don't know. All these memories are floating through my head and not one of them is sticking. But I would say, talk about the parks. My favorite park, when Daddy and I went by ourselves. And the first thing that I do is go to the safari on Animal Kingdom. We went, we've only had really one weekend that we were actually by ourselves. That's when we went to the boathouse and whatever. And we went to Animal Kingdom to do the safari and just hang out and, stop and have a lunch and sit on the stools and, in Rainforest Cafe and at the bar and stuff. And that's what I think of when you say, like, what's your, like, in what we've just been talking about, what my favorite park is and stuff. Yeah. And Animal Kingdom is my favorite park. And my husband is very obliging. So we went to Animal Kingdom. The other day we went to Epcot in the afternoon, but we went to Animal Kingdom in the morning and did our safari, and it was really nice.
Yeah, and I would say, too, yes, Disney World is expensive. There's a lot of planning, but I do think it's all worth it. You know, it's like, even like, when you're planning for it, I think it's very exciting to plan. I know not everyone's a planner, so it can be stressful, of course, but it is very exciting to plan and think about what you're going to do when you're there. It's exciting just to be there, and then again, you have those core memories for the rest of your life.
Memories just float through. Yeah,
it's like you can walk through just even the Emporium and be like, I remember when I was here, years ago, and they had this in the station, or like I bought this when I was here, and like have all those memories and like the hotels or just walking around or like on the monorail or something like that. It's like every time you go, you will add on new memories that will add on, that will create who you are as a person. And I think that's really great though. So even though it's expensive, and we talked, like most of these questions obviously had to do with discounts and costs and budgeting, but again, it's all going to lead up to a great vacation. I think you can just go, expect to have fun, expect to
you
don't
have to go with
too
the
much.
idea, right? We just like we did last time. It's going to be crowded. We're just going to go,
take breaks, drink water.
We're going to take our time. We're just going to let it go over our heads. Not going to worry about it. And we came out pleasantly surprised of how nice people were, and all that.
It's like always go with grace and just expect that if you're going to have a great time, you will. If you're going to think you're going to go and have a bad time because it's going to be too crowded or too expensive, then that's the trip you're going to have. Manifest what you want to manifest.
Right.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you give us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or if you're listening or watching on YouTube, to leave a comment below and like this video. If you're make sure you're following us on social media. We are currently Spaceship Earth Design, and I will have that dedicated Instagram post for this episode on our Instagram. So let us know, did you have a question that you would ask about Disney World that wasn't in the list of like the most asked questions? I feel like one of mine might have been like, I don't know, like what rides are in certain parks or something like that, or, you know, something to do with like where to eat in Disney World. I don't know. I feel like there are certain questions that were not asked. Like
mine would be transportation, I think.
Yeah, like how to get
there. That's my biggest
that
question. It's like, okay, I want to go from here to there. What's the best way to do that? That would be my questions.
And a lot of people too, especially people who don't live in America or have never been to Disney World, don't realize that the parks are not very close to each other. You do have to drive from one park to another.
Or take some kind of transportation.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't always realize that. So I was surprised that wasn't a question, which I guess if you don't know, you don't know. Right. So you're not going to be Googling it. But that is something to kind of keep in mind, that the parks are not close to each other. Especially
that would be my question. How do I get from one to the other?
Yeah, especially people I know who grew up in California, went to Disneyland, to Disney California Adventure Park. They're right next to each other.
God,
they're right next to downtown Disney. Yeah. All three of them are connected, but that is not the case in Disney World. They're all separate. So just, keep that in mind, that it's just a different experience, especially from like Disneyland Paris is the same way. All the parks, everything is connected. And again, here it is not. So that can be a bit of a shock to people when they get here and they're like, what do you mean I have to take transportation between Epcot to Magic Kingdom?
It doesn't take 2 minutes to get there.
Yes, it is a little bit different in that sense. So, but I was kind of surprised. Yeah, some questions about like dining and things like that weren't really included. Like there wasn't really that many questions about like restaurants or where to eat or what's the best restaurant or something like that. But yeah, just kind of interesting to me. But let us know what's a question that wasn't on here that you still have that's still lingering.
That would have been your first question.
Yeah, let us know, and I'll answer it on Instagram if I'm able to answer it. But again, I'm just a regular Disney goer. I'm not an expert, not a travel agent.
I also have to add in a little point here when you're talking. It's dawning on me that we've been going to Disney for 28 years. I've been going to Disney.
Many years.
Luke was 2 the first time we went to Disney, and he's now 30. So it's been 28 years that we've been going to Disney. And Disney started off as small. Not that it was small by any means of the imagination, but it was contained. Like I was talking about downtown Disney being contained, about the parks, about the different things. It was more contained, and as time went on, it expanded and expanded and expanded. So as over the 28 years, I've kind of rolled with the punches and kind of
learned
figured it out. Yeah. But when I think about the poor people who
are learning today for the first time,
walk into this craziness of,
like, we've grown with it.
Yes,
but it's a lot to walk into.
It's a lot that hits you between the planning that has to go on now with the tickets and the reservations and the Genie Pluses and the dining reservations and that wasn't happening 28 years ago. So even though it's like a pain in the butt now to do it, you say to yourself, okay, we've kind of gone along with how it happens.
So I just wish you good luck. Good luck planning. Have fun though.
Have fun. Yeah, the best thing is that sometimes the simplest things.
Work with a travel agency if you don't really want to plan that much.
Right. Sometimes the free things are the most fun. So sorry to interrupt you.
That's all good. But yeah, good luck. Have fun. We'll see you very soon.
Okay, bye.